Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
All right, 6:19 is your time, and since we were talking about tsunamis earlier, let's talk about why they're forming and why we're actually looking at some advisories and warnings along the coast and why we saw those. So what happened yesterday was we had the earthquake in Russia. What it was at about 8.8 magnitude. What happens is when there's an earthquake, energy is then traveled upwards and expands in all directions. So as we saw that happen yesterday in Russia, today we're seeing now the aftermath of that, which is the tsunami warnings and advisories that we saw in place overnight and closer into Hawaii. Now, as the tsunami slowly makes its way closer to the shore, what happens is a series of waves will start building offshore. So you'll start to see these larger waves a little bit further from the coast, and what that's doing is drawing back all the water. And then as it starts to approach, again, this is when you'll start to really notice those changes and why they're telling people to get to higher ground near the coast. You'll start to see those larger waves being pulled upwards as that energy is forced upwards on land and as that tsunami makes its way closer. So the tsunami itself, or inundation, is also when those waves in series of strong, powerful, tall waves eventually shift on shore. Some of these can be upwards towards 10 feet, and that's what they were looking at for forecasting yesterday. Today, they're still kind of on the fence about it. It's a pretty hard thing to predict, so that's why those warnings and advisories are still in place. Now, as far as the distance it can travel, this can go upwards towards speeds of 500 miles per hour. And think about this. This is a very far distance to travel from Russia all the way to our coast. That just goes to show it kind of depends on really the factors of the magnitude of the earthquake. It looks like the depth and the type. And yesterday we saw that one again in Russia. So that's why we're looking at again these advisories and warnings as you make your way further along the coast from California up to Washington. Closer to home, we have a red flag warning in place, and that's because we've seen this faucet of storms come through in our afternoons ahead. And today, that's going to be the similar story. So from Idaho all the way up to Washington and into Oregon today, those thunderstorm chances will continue on. And just to walk you through the next couple of hours, it's a pretty quiet start to the day. And then in the evening, those late afternoon evening storms roll through. By tomorrow, they will grow more widespread, and there will be a possibility to see a few severe ones out there with gusts upwards towards 50 miles per hour. So those strong damaging winds that can knock down trees. If you have anything outside your home that's loose, maybe those patio pillows, you're also going to want to bring those in. So this goes again from eastern Oregon all the way upwards towards our west central mountains into tomorrow afternoon. So I think it'll be a little bit more active by 6 o'clock tomorrow. But the good news as we head into the week, you'll get lower 90s Saturday and then approaching our first week of August, upper 80s.